And all right, so Team Zoot, what is up? My name is John Farrell. Welcome to Farrell Swim Tech. Now, today's episode, we're not going to be talking about stroke technique. We're actually going to be talking about wetsuits. Now, we're going to talk about what to look for, what typically you should see in your beginners versus mid-range versus high-range wetsuits, what you should consider when buying a wetsuit. Because for me personally, I'm a swimmer. I'm a swimmer guy. I will always be a swimmer guy. I don't know anything about the bike. I barely know anything about the run. So when I'm looking to acquire gear, I'm always trying to kind of figure out exactly, okay, what should I be looking for? What stuff should I want in what gear I'm buying? What stuff is important? What stuff is more bells and whistles? And really, for a guy of my ability level, what's really going to make a difference? Now, to be fair, Mark Goddard actually did a really good job with this. Now, what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to add a bit more to what he's talked about. He basically had a quick few minutes just to talk about the brand new wetsuits, show them off, and just kind of give a quick description. Now, there are some things that I will say that will be basically the same thing that he said. When I was listening to him talk, I was just like, oh yeah, that's exactly the way I think. Oh yeah, that too. So there's going to be some overlap of what we talk about. Now, what I'm hoping to bring to the table is expertise and knowledge from a swimmer level. Now, full disclosure, I did not buy a swimming wetsuit until my first triathlon in 2019. I didn't really know they had swim-specific wetsuits until 2019. I'm a pool swimmer. I swam in the pool all growing up. I knew open water races existed. I had never done one in my entire 20-plus year career of being a swimmer. Just never had the opportunity to do one. I swam distance, but I never swam in open water. So my knowledge of wetsuits is entirely limited to one Xterra wetsuit and both Wiki wetsuits from Zoot. Now, that being said, I do own at least 2 surfing wetsuits. So I've been wearing wetsuits for a very long time. So I kind of know what I'm looking for in a wetsuit. Now, it's just the difference of taking a wetsuit and applying it to what do I want as a swimmer wearing a wetsuit. All right. So wanted to put that out there. So some of you may think, well, this guy is a pool swimmer. What does he know about wetsuits? Just go with me here. I think this is going to make a lot of sense, and it's going to make a lot of people happy. So typically when we have wetsuits, we have multiple tiers of wetsuits. So you have your base tier, you have your mid tier, and your top tier. All right. So same with bikes. You got your low tier bikes, with really, low grade group sets that are really cheap. You got moderate bikes that you can play with the group sets, and you got your high end stuff that it basically costs more than most small cars. So the question is, what should I be looking for, and what should I judge my purchase of a wetsuit based on? Okay. First and foremost should be time. What time do you go per 100? All right. Should you go, if you go over a 140 per 100, probably looking at a low grade wetsuit, more than likely. If you go between probably 125 to 35 and a 145, probably mid-grade wetsuit's going to be perfectly fine for you. Even if you're at the 135 level, 135, 130, honestly, full disclosure, both my wikis were gifted by Zoot. Thank you. But if I were to purchase a wetsuit for myself, I would have probably gone with the mid-tier wetsuits. Even with my times of being sub 120 per 100, because I don't have the money to spend on an upper tier wetsuit. All right, I'll put that out of the way. Now, if you're either a professional and you want the best, you got a crap load of cash to splash, or you're under 120 per 100, then you should really look at buying the Wiki, the top tier wetsuits. Now, let's talk about all 3 wetsuits, all right? Let's do this. We're going to do analysis. All right, so now remember, if you like what you see here, sweet, I can pop out chat. Yes. I just now figured out you can actually pop out chat. That is glorious. All right. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna bring up the Team Zoot website, or the Zoot Sports website. Okay. Shoot, I may have just accidentally flashed the coupon code. I hope I didn't do that I seriously hope I didn't do that accidentally. Oops. Nobody tell Mark. Sorry, Mark. I wasn't thinking. Okay. I really should have thought about that more. All right. Okay, so let's talk about our wetsuits here, all right? Wetsuits. All right, so let's start with the base model, okay? So actually, you know what? What we're gonna talk about first is we're gonna talk about the components of a wetsuit. I actually am doing I'm gonna do a audible here. So let's talk about wetsuits. Okay, so this one is my older wiki. I swam in this for about 2+ years. No, it's about 3 years. It's about 3 years. No, did I get this in 21? I think I got this in 2021. Okay, so when we're talking about wetsuits, we gotta talk about a couple different things here. So as Mark always says, most, if not all, swimming wetsuit manufacturers, they basically get their neoprene from the same guys. So it doesn't really matter that much. Different websites may say different stuff about their neoprene. Basically, if you're getting a swimming wetsuit, you're basically getting the same stuff as everyone else. So a couple things to note here are, number one, panel thicknesses. That's one of the things that goes into how much a wetsuit costs. Thinner neoprene is a lot harder to work with. Thicker neoprene is a lot easier to work with. Also the amount of panels. So you can see here on the back side of this wiki, there's a panel here, panel there, panel down to here, and then one for the leg, another for the leg. There's a seam down here towards the calf. So for the most part, more panels is going to equal more flexibility. So higher tier wetsuits typically have more panels, or at least the ones that I've seen, they tend to have a lot more panels. So that allows more flexibility within the wetsuit itself. So a couple things to look out for is, number one, sizing. Sizing, you're going to want to get something that's a little more snug. Personally, when I got this wiki, I got a large because I checked the sizing chart and it showed me as a large. I probably should have gotten a medium with this wetsuit, because after about a year or so, now this may be specifically, an issue with the pro level wetsuits. I honestly don't know how many times pros actually wear a wetsuit. I'm so used to wearing a wetsuit, like my surfing wetsuits, until they just straight up disintegrate on me, which I had a body glove I got back in like 97, and it's like now finally starting to legitimately disintegrate on me. So I'm so used to just wearing wetsuits out. But I think this wetsuit stretched out a little bit. And what happened was when I would dive in, water would get in through the arms, and then it would kind of create like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man effect, to where I just kind of felt sloshing water all around my midsection and my back. Now, I'm pretty positive this is because I simply got a wetsuit that was too big for my body. But that was something that did happen. So make sure, if you have the opportunity, try it on before you buy it. If you can. I understand this is very hard for some people. If you have friends that you do open water swimming with, if you can try on someone's wetsuit, someone else's wetsuit that's going to be in the size that you want, that's really going to be a good idea for you. And if you're hanging out in Carlsbad, you can just drop by Zoot and be like, "Hey, Mark, what up, dude?" He'd be like, "Hey, sweet, you want to try on a wetsuit? Fantastic." So that's one of the things that you're really going to be looking into. Also, thickness. Thickness is going to be the other main determinator of whether or not what wetsuit you're going to buy. Now, the higher end wetsuits typically have a lot thinner materials, like for instance the Wiki. These arms are like paper thin. Like, I could not believe how thin those arms are, which for me, I'm swimming in about 65, 64 degree water in the ocean, which is not bad at all. Now, if you're swimming in Hawaii or you're swimming in Lake Powell in the summer, like I typically tend to do, I am absolutely not wearing a full body wetsuit. I typically take my sleeveless Xterra wetsuit with me because, number one, I can beat the crap out of it and I don't really care anymore. Mostly it provides just a little bit of extra buoyancy, but not having the arms actually makes it a lot easier for heat to escape my body. I don't overheat, as well as I have all the arm mobility and flexibility that I would ever want. So if you're swimming in colder waters, you may, and you're thinking, well, do I get the Wiki or do I get the Bolt? Well, if you're not cool with cold water, you might want to go with the Bolt. It's got thicker arms. It's going to trap that heat in just a little bit better. It's going to make you a lot more comfortable. While you'll be sacrificing a little bit on the arm and shoulder flexibility, you're going to gain that back in simple comfort of staying warmer in the water. Yeah, I think that's honestly about it. All right, so we're going to go to, now we're going to start talking about the wetsuits themselves. So remember, this is a live stream, so if you have any comments whatsoever, feel free. I think I'm being rated here. 1 second. Hey, what's up? Here, don't step on my wetsuits. Want to say hi? This is my middle daughter. Come a little bit closer. Say hello.
Hi.
What's up?
Good.
What are you doing?
I want to hug you.
All right, give me a hug. All right, love you, sweetie.
When is mommy gonna come home?
Probably within the next 15 minutes. Go to bed. Lay down. All right. Bye, sweetie. Good night. All right. Bedtime. Okay, so let's start talking about these wetsuits. So we'll start talking about the Kona. So the Kona is Zoot's base wetsuit. I'm going to shove this over on this one. So with our pricing, Team Zoot is going to get this for under $200. Yeah, you know, and this is a wonderful idea if you're going to get your first wetsuit. So this is the ladies' wetsuit. A couple things to understand is the panels. Okay, so 5mm right around on the backside of your tush. This is going to help get your hips up towards the surface. You got actually no, that's the front side. Yeah. So that's going to be on the front side of your hips. So that'll actually help push you up towards the surface. So then you got the 4mm on the backside and the calves and the fronts of the calves, which are going to continuously push your legs up to the surface. You got 3mm and 2mm. You got 3mm and 4mm straight down the chest, which is just going to help keep that upper body. And then what we have on the backside is we got all this 2mm in all the shoulder areas, which is really good for flexibility, okay? All that 2mm on the outside, that's going to allow your chest to expand and contract. This will really help fight any panic attacks that you may have. True story, Lionel Sanders at Indian Wells last year, he suffered a massive panic attack because he was not used to wearing a wetsuit in freezing cold water, and he simply had a panic attack. So having that thinner neoprene right around your chest area is a really good idea. So here is, so I'll just pop on the men's and just so you know, basically the same panel thickness as the women's. Obviously, men's and women's, they're cut differently because of the average size of hip bones and undercarriage area, girth. One time I wore my sister's wetsuit surfing. Yeah, not a good thing. No, it was not comfortable at all. And it wasn't until like halfway through my surf session, I was just like, oh no, I'm actually wearing my sister's wetsuit. No wonder I feel like garbage. So yeah, a little important to make sure. Okay, so now we're going to run through the sleeved versions. Now remember, the main difference between sleeved and not sleeved is typically going to be water temperatures, okay? Now, truth be told, if you wear the sleeves, your arms are going to have that hydrophilic coating. So all of these wetsuits are treated with a hydrophilic coating. Basically, it repels water really easily. For me personally, it reminds me of when I first wore tech suits. Back then, they were aqua blades, fast skins. Fast skins were basically what was the thing when I graduated from college. And then the great suit gate of 2012 came and basically forever changed the competition swimsuit market. But basically, this hydrophilic coating, water is repelled, so you literally feel like you're kicking and there's nothing there. It takes a while to get used to this, so please take some time, get a good open water swimming before you debut your new wetsuit at a race. You gotta know what this coating feels like, or it will throw you for a loop. It's that drastic of a difference. So the main difference between the sleeved and the not sleeved, you still have the 5mm on the front side. You got 4mm on the back side, 4mm on the shins, 3mm on the calves. And then the 2mm is all on the sleeves. So your sleeves are going to be thinner than the legs, which makes sense because your leg range of motion only needs to be this, while your arm range of motion has to be full. Now, so this is what I was talking about. Mark was talking about the Groove Glide Flex. I have not tried this for myself. I don't know the difference, but I understand the science behind it. So larger Glide Flex groove panels on the chest allow full expansion of your lungs. So basically, this material is specifically engineered to allow for maximum expansion, which is really great for entry-level swimmers. And this is one of the main reasons why, if you're a slower swimmer, 140 or above, this is probably the wetsuit that you're going to want to get. Now, just to kind of round it out for the ladies, panels are going to be basically the same. The main difference is how it's cut, just in the overall wetsuit construction. So the panel's basically the same. You got your 4mm down the chest. You got your 3mm panels, ribbed panels for the chest expansion for breathing. 2mm on the arms, which is going to allow for some decent flexibility. So overall, my thoughts on the Kona is that the Kona is a great wetsuit if you're over 145. If you're over 145, save your money. Save your money, because realistically for wetsuits, what you get more is... Oh, 1 second. I have a... Anyway, okay. So Fidencio. I'm sorry. That looks Portuguese. I'm a fluent Spanish speaker. That name doesn't sound fully Spanish. I do apologize. Thanks for thinking buying the Kona with the sleeves, but I guess the sleeveless will be better for our Texas weather. Yep. If you are swimming in the summer and heat is a factor, go with sleeveless. The only thing that I would Mexico. I'm sorry that I didn't recognize that name. Typically, I'm pretty good at pronouncing Spanish names. Not that I haven't run across that name yet. I do apologize. Fidencio. There you go. That should be it. 1 second. Let me grab something real quick. Okay, so one thing you need to understand about sleeveless wetsuits is you're going to want to make sure that you got plenty of anti-chafe, especially right under the armpits. When I swam at Lake Powell using my Xterra sleeveless wetsuit, I have to make sure I put everything all over. So typically, lots of people like to use Body Glide. For me personally, Surfer Salve. I have used Surfer Salve ever since I was a teenager in the early 2000s. I was down in Hawaii. You can buy this on Amazon. I don't know where else you can buy this except if you're actually on the island of Hawaii. But Surfer Salve, this big tin will cost you about $15. Legitimately, I can use this tin for like 2 years. And it's still good. It's all natural, blah, 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 botanicals, beeswax, blah, blah, all natural crap. But the big thing was this is marketed as an anti-chafe for surfers and bodyboarders. So I tried this stuff in triathlon with the swimming wetsuits. It's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about Surfer Salve. Also, an added bonus for Surfer Salve. No, they do not sponsor me, but call me. I took this stuff to BYU with me, and we had 1 year where our farmer John of a pool manager thought to kill cryptosporidium, we had to triple or quadruple the chlorine count in the pool. So my hair was completely bleached white. My skin was completely destroyed. I had no arm hair. I had no leg hair. It was just a disaster. This stuff was the only thing that would moisturize my skin without it feeling like I was getting a chemical peel. I went through so many lotions before I tried this stuff, and it's just golden. So anyway, that's my pitch for Surfer Salve. It's unconventional, but trust me, it works. The other big thing too is this crap does not come off in water. So you put this stuff on before. I've done a half Ironman with this on around my neckline and on the undercarriage. Worked like a charm the entire race. So that's my pitch for Surfer Salve. And making sure you put enough anti-chafe stuff around your arms if you're going with the sleeveless. But yes, definitely hot Texas weather, sleeveless is probably going to be better for you, especially if you're doing the shorter races. If you're doing longer races, you got to do a cost-benefit ratio of how hot the temperature is, how hot the water is, how hot do you think you're going to be during the race. If you're comfortable with being a little bit warm, then you should be okay with the sleeved. If you're not comfortable being warm, go sleeveless. You'll be perfectly fine. The little bit of 2 millimeter and the hydrophilic coating on your arms, it's not going to be enough of a difference if you get too hot. If you get too hot, you're going to be miserable. Totally not worth it. I've been really hot in wetsuits before. It sucks. All right. So now with that, we're going to move up to Zoot's next tier. This is the Bolt. So for pricing with the discount, this is going to be about $260. So you're going up about $100. Okay. You're going up about $100 if you're using the Team Zoot discount with the Bolt. Now, let's compare the panel sizes. Let's compare the panel thicknesses between the Bolt and the Kona. So as you can see here, you can see the panel layout. The panel layout is pretty different here. All right. So what we have is on the front side, we have 5 millimeter on the entirety of the front side of the legs. Okay. So with the so you have 5mm on the entirety of it, of the wetsuit. Okay. So 5mm aerodome, that's on the front chest. So when your chest is breaking the water, the aerodome is going to it's not I'm not going to say what the code is, because I know that there are people who are not members of Team Zoot watching this. Check your email. If you don't know, if you can't find that email, please contact your captain. I cannot give that code out on this stream because I record the stream and I upload it to my YouTube channel and my Rumble channel. So unfortunately, I cannot tell you the code. And the code is different per the wetsuit you want to order. Okay, so like I said, contact your captains. If you cannot find your email, I personally got the email on May 31st. So check around May 31st, somewhere on that day. You should have all the codes to purchase the wetsuits at the allotted discount. So going back to the aerodome. So the reason for the aerodome is that it helps break the water surface. Okay. So it helps break the water surface, so then you're able to keep, you know, kind of the majority of your body on top of the water. So then we have the 3mm just outside of the center core area. So we're going thicker, thinner, thinnest, okay? So you see on the arms, we only have 1.5mm on the arms. So we're going 0.5 millimeter thinner on the arms. Now, just understand, we went from 2mm to 1.5 millimeters. The thinner the neoprene, the easier the heat is to escape the neoprene. Now, if you live up north, if you live in, I mean, even Northern California, Oregon, Washington, you know, you're doing these triathlons in colder waters, that might also be a reason to buy the Kona over the Bolt. If you need that extra heat insulation, get the one with the thicker material. Now, I know for a fact that they have a thermal wetsuit. They don't have it on sale yet, but I know they're coming out either very soon with a full thermal wetsuit. I mean, we're talking cold waters here. We're talking like you're in Canada and you're swimming in a freaking glacier pool. You're in, I guess they don't have it in Anchorage anymore. I mean, we're talking real cold waters here. That is the wetsuit you would buy for those. Now, we're not talking about that wetsuit because that's technically not for sale yet. I know it exists. Thinking of getting a new one for Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, that would be a cold swim. I would definitely bust out a neoprene cap for that one. So the arms are thinner. That's going to allow for more mobility. And you can also see here the panels. There's simply more panels on the arms in the shoulders. So we kind of have this wing panel here. We have the straight panel down the back. So realistically, what this does is the more panels provide for more flexibility. As we get higher in tiers, we're allowing more mobility in the shoulders. So for me personally, looking at this wetsuit, that would be an amazing distribution of material for myself. Yes. So let me think here. I think that's about it for the Bolt. So basically with Bolt, you're getting extra flexibility. You're getting slightly more hydrodynamic friendly front panel with this aerodome. So whereas with the Kona, you were getting a more comfortable wetsuit with that ability to expand your lungs better. With the Bolt, you're getting more kind of drag resistance. You're getting less drag for your buck. So let's pop over to the ladies section so we can look at the ladies wetsuit. Not gonna lie, I love this pattern for the ladies. I'm not a pink guy, so I'm not cool on the pink, but I totally love kind of this whole palm leaf. Wait, hold up, that's the Kona. What am I doing? I hit the wrong one. I'm sorry. The Bolt, the ladies Bolt. That's on the top row. You ladies got top row here. I do like this one too. I like the pattern a lot. So we have the aerodome down the chest. We got the panel here, the panel there. So just like I'm showing here, same panels as the men, but you can kind of see here in the shoulder, you kind of get this panel right there. And then on the back side, you get it there. And then on the front side, you get it on the outside and then on the outside of the aerodome fabric as well. So like I was showing you, all this stuff just simply gives you more flexibility. Okay, so to wrap up the idea of who should be getting the Bolt, I think the Bolt is probably going to be the wetsuit most of you are going to want. If you are an intermediate swimmer, or you're a 145 per 100 and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to tackle this, I'm going to make this happen, buy the Bolt wetsuit. You know, if you want to get to that next level, you're working hard, you're contacting me for stroke technique help, and you're going to look to get faster, it might be worth getting the investment in the Bolt, even though your times are slower. If comfort is not 1,000% your thing, where you don't have to have the most flexible, comfortable wetsuit to breathe in, if you're okay with understanding, okay, there's going to be a little constriction here, I'm going to be okay with this, then get the Bolt. If you really need that, okay, I just need something I'm going to be at, I don't care how fast I go, I just want to be comfortable, get the Kona. All right? Okay. Now, I'm going to be the absolute worst salesman for the WikiWiki 3.0. Let me get out my own WikiWiki 3.0. Like I said, major shout out to Mark and the team at Zoot. Thank you all so much for gifting me this wetsuit. I'm super excited to own this. Unfortunately, I have not had a race yet to where I can show this off. But definitely within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to make it down to Bayshore down in Long Beach, California. I'm going to take this down with me, get a swim in, run this thing through the paces, and really get a feel for how this new wetsuit is, especially at this size. So yeah, it's definitely your top tier wetsuits. It is a different feel than anything else that you've ever had before. So here's the front side of the wetsuit. Here's the back side of the wetsuit. So we'll mostly go over it on the webpage. But a couple things to note here. There's a lot more of kind of this aerodome fabric. This should show up on the, the 5mm aerodome fabric. This thing is everywhere on this wetsuit. And the interesting thing is that it kind of takes these breaks right around the glute and, somewhere around about mid hamstring. This just allows for a lot more flexibility with the fabrics. It is just, the construction of this thing is intense. It's fantastic. Like I said, I only got a couple hundred yards in with this, on the day of the photo shoot. So let's talk about paneling. Paneling, we got a lot more of the 5mm aerodome fabric on here. So the big thing with this wetsuit is this takes someone that already has basically perfect stroke position, and it just shoves everything up towards the surface. So for me personally, I already have very, 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 very good body alignment in the water. My legs are on top of the water. My chest is on top of the water. I get my 3 points of contact with the air, foot, butt, and head. Whenever I swim freestyle. So I don't need the wetsuit to help push me towards the surface, if that makes sense. I don't need the wetsuit to help correct my form, which, as we saw with the Kona wetsuit, you have a lot of the 5mm wetsuit, a lot of the 5mm thickness right around the groin area, all the way on the front side, all the way down to the ankles. So that is designed to help lift your bottom half up towards the surface, so that gives you a lot better of a body position. But for someone like me, I don't really need that. What I need is I need some help in the core, I need some help in the chest, some help in the upper legs, because when your leg kicks, your kick is going, here, let me go full screen. So because when you kick, you're going to kick up and then you're going to push down. So the first real point of contact with your leg pushing down is going to be your upper thigh, your upper quads. So your quads, as you see here, has the 5mm aerodome fabric on it. So that's going to help break the water a lot better. Just one. Sorry, I had something in my throat. So that 5mm aerodome is going to be in more constant contact with the water. The aerodome is a more hydrodynamic neoprene. So that is actually going to help give you a lot of benefit in terms of reducing drag. So now you notice on the backside, you got the 5mm on the backside, the aerodome on the glutes and the hamstrings, going down to about the knees. So at the knees, you see on the backside, we have 3mm on the back, 4mm on the front. So this is the same concept as we've seen in other wetsuits. The main difference is we don't want as thick of material right at the base. We want to be able to get out of this wetsuit as fast as humanly possible. So we want the thinner around the foot and the ankles, and also to boot, you don't really need buoyancy at your ankles because you're lifting your foot out of the water. When you lift your leg out of the water, most of your shins and calves are out of the water. So absolutely no need to have that thicker material down in the bottom half of the body. So now what we're also seeing here is we have 4mm at the hips. So we have 4mm at the hips on the back side and all the way around the 5mm aerodome. Okay, so on the back side of your wetsuit, you actually have thinner panels, thinner material interlaced with the higher material. And as you can see here, there's a heck of a lot more paneling on this than there was on the bolt. So we're getting a lot more advanced neoprene in the areas that are having a lot more contact with the water. So then we see here, we go from 5 to 1.5. Okay, so we make a huge reduction in thickness when we go from the center chest to the underarms. And when I'm holding this up here, there is a massive reduction of thickness when we come from this front panel to this next side panel. So from here to here, so this is our 5 millimeter. This is a 5 Yamamoto. Oh no, 5 aerodome. I'm sorry, I'm getting all these things confused. 5 without the aerodome, and then we go immediately into the 1.5. So remember, this 1.5 was the whole sleeves of the bolt. So then from there we go to this insanely thin 0.3 millimeter thickness on the arms. Now you're gonna have a larger panel of 2 millimeter here. Now this is what was this thing called? I can't remember. I can't remember what this thing was called. But basically, this is more of a catch. It's a catch panel. It's a catch panel on your forearm. So what this does is this helps break the surface, break up the water. Create turbulence on the water when you're grabbing that water with your forearm. So that makes it so you're not trying to pull with a really slippery wetsuit. the slippery wetsuit material. So you got kind of this corrugated diamond pattern. And that, as you're grabbing the water, that's going to help break up the water surface. It's going to make it easier to get really good catch on that water. So, like I said, this whole 2mm catch panel thingy, if you don't have a really good catch, it's not really going to do much for you. All right. So these are the things that if you're like, oh man, I got to have the best, I got to have the wiki. Honestly, this wiki, if you have a moderate swim technique, it's not going to do you any favors. That's the major point I want to get across about top tier wetsuits. I mean, in general, I'm talking about the wiki over here, but in general, if you're looking at top tier wetsuits, it's not like the bike. You're not really getting any savings here. You're not getting if your technique is not good enough, the wetsuit's not going to do the work for you. I mean, it's not like this thing is rocket packed, water jet packs on it or something like that. The thing you need to understand is the professional tier wetsuits honestly should only be really considered by the professional tier swimmers. Okay? Now, once again, I'm not mocking anyone that's watching this. I understand we all start from somewhere, and just because I swam for 20 years, I'm really good at swimming. I still wouldn't buy this because this is way more wetsuit than I would need with my current set of skills and my current budget. Realistically, it's the budget that would shy me away from this. But to be brutally honest, with the current price decrease with the coupon code, this now is going to be $350 for Team Zoot people, and that's fantastic because retail this thing is $875. Our price with this limited time coupon code at the time of this recording is $350. That is a dang good price for this wetsuit. I would say, honestly, if you have $350 to drop on a wetsuit and you're at $130 or below, this might not be a bad time to pick this up. With a caveat here, if you swim in warm waters, if you swim in cold waters, I would go with the Bolt. Don't worry about it. Just simply don't worry about it. The extra flexibility on this top tier wetsuit is really only going to benefit you if you are 120 or below and you're absolutely terrified of wetsuits constricting your motion. That's basically it. If you have a very flexible upper body and you're really worried about flexibility of your arms during your stroke, then I would highly consider plunking down the money for the new Wiki 3.0. All right. So here's the women's. Women's and men's are basically the same color. Obviously different cut. Yes. So the Wiki is a fantastic wetsuit. I loved my 2.0. I loved swimming in it. I kind of wish Zoot would have kept with the bright, vibrant colors because then my family can pick me out very easily. I mean, ha. Why don't they just look for the guy in first? Okay, I'm not always in first on the swim, okay? I'm usually first on the swim. But I'm really excited to wear this Wiki 3.0 in more training and more racing situations. It is a great wetsuit. Full disclosure, I have never worn a different wetsuit, top tier wetsuit, so I can't compare it to other companies like Blue 70, Roka, all these other companies. I simply can't do that. All I'm saying is I like swimming in the Wiki 3.0. Personally, if I had to purchase it for myself, I probably would not. I would probably save the money and buy the Bolt personally. Now, once again, thank you, Zoot, for sending me and allowing me to get comped a Wiki 3.0. I have no qualms about swimming in it. I feel like, my abilities are definitely, good enough to wear this wetsuit, take full advantage of this wetsuit. Like I said, if you're at 120 or faster, this probably is going to be the wetsuit that you want. But price would probably make most of you want to go down to the Bolt. You should be perfectly fine. You're going to have a little bit less flexibility, which in all reality is not going to kill you that much. I mean, come on. The Swim is the shortest one, people, especially if we're rocking 120 per 100. If we're rocking 120 or faster per 100, the Swim is wicked short. So yes. Yeah, so that's one other thing I wanted to talk about was wetsuit repair. Now, I, like an idiot, actually tore my WikiWiki 2.0. So you can kind of see right here this shiny spot. This is actually a repair that I did. So if I hold it up really close to the camera, you can kind of see that tear right there. So I actually tore this wetsuit in the bathroom. I finished my business, and then I went to pull my wetsuit up, and my butt was too close to the paper towel holder, and it just, like, seriously, just straight in my butt. Thankfully, though, I didn't puncture the wetsuit. I only got a tear in it. Now, this may happen. And honestly, this was the last race I did in this wetsuit, so I felt like an absolute idiot. But the good news is I got it all patched. The patch is absolutely fantastic. So let me talk a little bit about how to patch your wetsuit. So number one, you're going to want to buy a durable, flexible adhesive. What I purchased was AquaSeal FD. I purchased the FD because this was specifically maximum flexibility. This is the stuff that they repair waders and gators if you go fishing or mucking about in streams. This is the stuff that I bought. They make a lot of different products like this. Basically, what you want to do is you want to get the tear and you want to put some of the AquaSeal underneath it. And then you want to take a sandpaper and kind of, first thing you want to do is take a sandpaper, lightly sand around the area to roughen it up just a little bit. This will help the adhesive adhere. And then you put a little bit underneath the cut, and then you just kind of liberally place it around the cut. Then take a toothpick or a plastic knife or a plastic spoon, and then you just kind of want to spread it all the way around to make sure that you get a nice even coat on here, and then just let it dry overnight. And this is the end product. So I got a nice shiny spot on my butt, so that's not cool, but it's better than having a hole in your freaking wetsuit. So warranties do not work on nail punctures for the ladies. Trust me, Mark is well aware of what is a nail puncture. You ain't getting anything by him or his crew. So if you got to repair your wetsuit, I can recommend AquaSeal. I'll put a link in the description when I get some time for my Amazon affiliate account. So if you want to purchase some of this, basically just buy it and throw it on your shelf and kind of forget about it until you actually need it. Yep. So, okay. So let me just give one more chat about surfer salve and kind of where to typically put anti-chafe when you're putting on wetsuits. Typically, you're going to want to put it definitely around the underarms, especially if you have a sleeveless wetsuit. You also want to put it majorly around the neckline, especially right here, where typically you kind of have a lot of folds in your neck. I get really, really bad friction rashes or heat rashes. Usually if I swim in like an ocean setting and then I'm on the bike and then I'm all hunched over and then just the salt and grit just kind of grinds away at your skin. It is not fun. I usually have like big old hickey like abrasions for a couple days after it. So make sure you put plenty, and I mean plenty of anti-chafe right at the backside of your neck. It's going to do you wonders, especially when you get on the bike. just because you're in that position and you're kind of looking around and it's just rubbing sand, grit, and dirt all behind there. Not cool. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it for wetsuits. So I hope that this will help you understand. If you are not looking at a Zoot wetsuit, I hope that this will actually give you the information you need to purchase your first wetsuit. I love Zoot's wetsuits. They're fantastic. As a swimmer, I'm mostly looking for what feels the most natural. And swimming in this just makes me feel like I have a bunch of helium balloons just holding me up. It's really, really, really good. So hopefully you can take advantage of the deal that's going on right now at the time of this recording. The deal is going to be over on the 15th of June, 2023. So if you're watching this afterward, I do apologize. But check your emails for the coupon codes. The coupon codes are specific to which wetsuit you buy. If you got any questions, you can talk to Mark about it. You got 60% off the Wiki 3.0, 55 off the Bolt, and 50% off the Kona. So these are rock bottom prices for the team members. Just very much so recommend getting a new wetsuit if you haven't had one, if you haven't purchased a new one in a couple years. Just understand neoprene degrades, and the other thing too is the hydrophilic coating does wear off over time. So you're just gonna feel a lot snappier in the water if you do end up getting a new wetsuit. So hopefully this guide will help you make your decision. So just understand, I'm actually going to be doing 2 Feral Swim Techs this week to help make up for the ones that I have not been able to do. I am also going to be doing kicking technique next time on the stream. So hopefully you like what you see here. If you like what you see here, if you're watching here on YouTube or Rumble, please hit that follow button, hit that like button. Would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you're always catching up on the things with Team Zoot on the Facebook page. That's going to be it for me tonight. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Once again, thank you, Mark and Sean and the rest of the Team Zoot team. You guys are fantastic, helping us age groupers really just get in shape and do a sport that we've all grown to love. So once again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Hope you appreciated this episode. And remember, if you want me to review your stroke technique, feralswimtech@gmail.com. And that's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Until later, my friends. Good night, Isaiah Norris. Wherever you are, I'm out of here. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. If I can figure out how to turn this thing off. Where did my thing go? Nope, not you. There you are. And goodbye.